Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your very excited host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, if you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I have been waiting for this for 2 years, give or take. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, not the game. The game is awesome too, but now we're talking about the movie. And I guess to those of you who are new here, we are starting with a quick non spoilery discussion. And once we're about to go into spoilers, we will let you know so that you could close the video, go watch the movie because you need to, and then come back and listen to us talk about the
Terrible movie.
spoilers.
Terrible movie. Don't go watch it.
Well then, Wolf, someone seems like we are going to be on the opposites today. But okay, actually, can we just talk for a second that to those who don't know, in the US there was a fan screening for this movie, and
You don't have to tell.
like,
No, don't mention this part. No.
no, I want to mention this part because
Don't.
because
Uh,
I don't live in the US, and I had no access to it, and yet this guy just waltzed into a pre-screening, and he's like, "Hey, have this poster and comic," and I'm like, "I want that," but no, we won't have those here.
to be fair, right? My dumbass bought these tickets thinking, oh, I bought them online from like the website of the theater and everything. Like, oh, I'll advanced, right? I figured, oh, I'll buy the tickets in advance. That's what that means. No, it meant advanced screening. That's what's showing right now. And my dumbass thinking, oh, I'm buying the tickets for tomorrow. Get an alert from my phone. Hey, your movie's in like, an hour, half an hour. You better go and show up, or otherwise you lose the price of the tickets and everything. Cause fuck you. And I'm like, oh, that's what it meant by advanced. Okay.
Wow.
Don't
But
judge me. I'm old. I'm
I'm not.
allowed to have
No, no,
those
no,
moments.
no, no, no. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. It's just funny. I'm sorry, but
I'm allowed to not
anyway,
get technology now. I'm old.
yeah, yeah, very fair, very fair. And I'm gonna be 29 next week, so yeah, I am getting there too.
One more
But
year, and you'll be over the hill like me.
yeah, uh,
You'll be too
film
old
30
to
in the
get
night.
it.
Yeah, beat 30 in the 90s, Ben, you're dead. What can you do? But that's a movie for another day. So, so Sonic the Hedgehog 2, just to really, if in case you haven't listened to any of our previous Sonic podcasts, I'm the Sonic guy. He is not the Sonic guy. And regarding the first movie in general, I really liked it. I thought it was simple, maybe even too simple, but I appreciated the simplicity for the sake of getting the basics right. Sonic was done well, Robotnik was done well, the rest of the cast did great too. It's a very fun movie, which I enjoy revisiting every once in a while. Wolf, just quick thoughts about the first movie. I remember from our podcast that you enjoyed it, but not,
yeah,
you
I
know.
yeah, I liked it not as much as you did. I thought it was okay. I had some fun with it, but I thought there were a lot of problems with it, and I didn't gel with Jim Carrey as Robotnik as much. I didn't feel like I felt like it was just Jim Carrey
Jim
playing yes,
Play.
Jim Carrey playing Jim Carrey and not playing like a character. So, and I'll have more thoughts on that for this one. But yeah, like overall, first movie, fine, nothing wrong with it. I didn't feel like it was the greatest of movies, but I didn't think it was a waste of my time, and I had some fun with it.
So now we come to the sequel, which I would just go and say, I absolutely loved this movie. It's not perfect. It is not perfect, and I will say that I have that it may have some pacing issues,
I'm gonna be honest,
but
it's a mess, but it feels distinctly like a Sonic mess, if that makes any sense. Like that's not a
I get
bad
what you
thing.
mean.
Like that's not a bad thing at all, in my opinion. But there are parts of this movie that really do feel like it's just a mess. But again, I feel like it is distinctly a Sonic mess, and I think that is a great thing. And I don't know if they did that on purpose or on accident, but it works.
I will say that a lot of the stuff that I loved in this movie felt intentional. A lot of those felt like these are people who know the games. These are people
Mm,
who love the games. These are people who live and breathe these characters, and they got to show it up on screen.
mm.
And like again, not perfect because there are some scenes which may go for a bit too long, and like there's one scene which, for the record, one sequence which honestly I thought was hilarious, but I also felt like, okay, we get it. Like, this is another movie now. Let's get back to Sonic for a second, please.
Oh, I think I
But
know which scene you're talking about.
we'll get to it in
We
spoilers
will.
because I have so much to say about it.
Mm,
But overall, I am good. But I think, in regards to the movie itself, the focus was where it should have been.
mm.
I don't feel like Tom, Maddie, and all the human characters from the previous movie overshadow the characters you want to see. You get plenty of Sonic, plenty of Robotnik, plenty of Tails and Knuckles. You get those, and they are all wonderful, if you ask me. And you said something. What did you think about Jim Carrey here? Because I felt he was a lot more like Eggman in this one than in the
Actually, I
previous.
agree. I think also, you have like I don't know, like this movie I think does great at the little touches, right? You have Jim Carrey
Mhm.
acting like the way he acts feels like, all right, yeah, this fits this character more, and it works really well because he's been trapped on like this planet made
Mushroom
entirely of
Planet, yes.
mushrooms for like
Mhm.
years now, like 2 or 3 years, like a long period of
Uh,
time, enough time for him to go a
yeah.
little stir crazy at the very least, maybe a little bit insane, and it just works for the character so well. And all
Yeah,
of the
because Eggman
eccentricities
always.
from the first movie, where this feels a bit like just Jim Carrey playing Jim Carrey. Now it feels like Jim Carrey playing the character more. Like it feels like, all right, yeah, this fits more. Like there's
Yeah.
even I think they show in the trailer, Tails gets his little plane. They give you, they could have just
Yeah, that
they like
they could have just. He has a plane.
yeah, but no, they give
Actually,
you, there's
didn't
like very subtle, they
there's an
give you
expression. Yeah.
yeah, we're talking over each other. But yeah, like very subtly they give you like, hey, here's a hint, right? Here's like how he's gonna get the plane and how he's gonna drive it and everything. Like they show you that, they give you that in a subtle way that's not in your
Yeah.
face. And
Because I
like
want to
it adds up.
say,
It makes it way more enjoyable because of that.
because I just want to say, in the games, the tornado, the name of the plane, that's actually Sonic's plane. And then when he meets Tails just kind of takes it over. He's the wingman and everything. So, and here it's just like, yeah, you could have just said, oh, it comes from this universe. So, no, they give you kind of an explanation where the plane came from. And again, it's the little touches
Mm.
that you could have just put the plane there. Who cares? But no, they gave a reason for it, and it connects to something. But we'll get
Yeah.
it. So,
Speaking of Tails, what did you think about the actress?
okay, so
Yeah.
Colleen O'Shaughnessy, I hope I said her name right. She's been voicing Tails since 2014, and I guess actually, consider 7 years. Yeah, she's the longest running Tails, or at least tied.
Oh,
But
so
either
she's
way,
like the original, like she's an
uh,
original voice actress for this character
like I won't
in a
want to.
way.
I don't want to say original because Sonic
Like she's
voice
been around
was
for a while though,
controversial.
doing this character
Yeah,
essentially.
she started voicing Tails with the Sonic Boom cartoon and games. Then she also moved on to the main franchise, starting with Sonic Forces, and now she's also voicing him in the movies, which I think is really cool because in the first movie, when Tails shows up in the mid-credit scene, it was kind of a cool Easter egg. Okay, they actually brought her in for this one line. That's actually cool. And then there was this entire debate: is she kind of gonna come back to the sequel? Is she got? And I'm happy they brought her because not to discredit any of the other voice actors, the kids and the girls who are trying to sound like kids, all of them had their moments. But I think really she had two different Tails as versions of Tails under her belt. So it made sense that if you're gonna reintroduce this character, this is the voice you would go with. And I liked her voice up until this point, and she didn't disappoint me in this movie. She's still doing great.
Agreed. I thought she was really enjoyable and worked really well as Tails too. And speaking to the excuse me, speaking to the design real quick, I kind of love the design. Tails looks so fucking fluffy, and I just want to hug him.
No, well, that's Tails in a nutshell. He's
no, but I feel like true, but I feel like he's never looked this fluffy before. Maybe it's just the quality of the movie. I don't know. But he looked so fluffy.
Because they need to give them that realistic, foxes all have fur on them, so they need to make them fluffy, and because he's the kid, he's the adorable one, so yeah, we need to make him fluffy.
Very true.
And so I think that was the again, Sonic Ben Schwartz again does a really great job, if you ask me. And I think in this movie he's becoming a lot more of the Sonic we know. He's still getting there. He's still younger than what video game Sonic is, but he's getting there. And I really like his development in this movie.
The only problem I would say I had, I'll save it for spoilers. We'll get into it, but we'll get into it.
Okay. And not spoilers, but like everybody talked about it, so I will talk about it too. Idris Elba as Knuckles.
I honestly think he steals the show. Like, he steals the movie.
No, he is. He is. This is like the best Knuckles we had in a while. Like, I loved him. He's awesome.
Yeah. I think he just absolutely steals. Like, this is a Sonic movie, but I think he steals the movie somewhat from Sonic. Like, he steals the spotlight.
Well, because it makes sense because, for one, actually, in Japan, this movie is called Sonic the Movie, Sonic vs. Knuckles. So he shares the title in some regions. But also, we had, Sonic had the entire first movie to himself. And Knuckles is obviously the new, Sonic is like meeting his match in Knuckles in this movie, so it makes sense he would get some time to steal. But then again, they play off each other really well, and we'll get to it. But so again, and the human characters too, I didn't have a problem with them Agent Stone. Agent Stone, I love him. He's precious. And he and Robotnik are totally gay for each other. Sue me.
Fair enough.
But the other, I still like Tom and Maddie. They're okay. Rachel got a major boost, and we'll get to that. I don't know what Shamik Moore was doing in this movie, but it was good. And and then the rest of the human stuff, we need to get into spoilers in order to talk about it. But again, they were there, they did their job, and it didn't feel like they just put them there because, they were in the first movie. They contributed. They had parts to play in the plot. And they walked off the CG characters well.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Mm-hmm. So overall, as the not Sonic fan, would you recommend it to people who are not big into Sonic?
I feel like if you're not big into Sonic, you might get some enjoyment out of this movie, but I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much as a Sonic fan. I think this movie caters a bit more to Sonic fans in a lot of its little nods and some of its major scenes. Like, I feel like this pulls more from the games even than the first movie did, personally.
Yeah, because in the first movie there is a lot more. Because when we did the first movie, I pointed out references that I caught plenty of references, which I am going to bring up. But keep in mind, I've only seen this movie twice before this recording, so I am still. If there's something I missed or forgot for a second, keep that in mind. With that said, as a Sonic fan, if you haven't seen this, what the hell are you doing? Go see it already. This was made for you. This was made for this is just going on Twitter and seeing Sonic fans go crazy about this movie. I'm like, this is our time to shine. Spider-Man fans had No Way Home a few months ago. This is Sonic time. This is Sonic fan time. And as a fan of both, I'm pretty well fed. Let me tell you. And
Fair. Yeah,
so
I think overall, I would say I do feel this is a better movie than the first movie. I think if you're not interested in Sonic at all, this isn't really going to win you over. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll have some fun with it, but overall, you'll feel like, that was an alright movie. But if you're a Sonic fan, you're loving it. You're absolutely enjoying this.
I will say, before we jump into spoilers, there's a good chance that this may need some more time to stew, mind you, but I think the first one technically is a better made movie, but that's only because it's a simpler story with the smaller stakes. And, when you up the stakes like this, because this movie really ups everything from the original, the world building, the characters, the action set pieces, everything got a major boost up. So it's a harder movie to make, and the fact they pulled it off as well as they did is kind of amazing.
From the perspective of, I think the first movie blended the live action cast and the CG cast, right? I think they blended them better. And I think they had a better relationship going on there, and I think the story worked better with both of them.
Because you had just Sonic there.
Yeah.
Now you have
with this movie, I think, the Wachowskis and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, it feels like it's kind of two separate movies in a way. Especially, again, mentioning that one particular scene. So I think this movie fails a lot more in that regard, where I don't think they married the two very well. Like, they didn't combine them as well as they did in the first.
I'd say they did it as well as they could, considering. Because they could have done a lot worse. But and the fact that it's still
plenty of examples to look back to. Hop says hello.
Well then, so spoilers from this point on. If you haven't seen the movie, this is your chance to close the video and come back after you're done watching it, because you should. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Still here? Good. And let me just say that we'll talk about Shadow in the end. Now,
people might think you're joking.
If they're here, they've seen the movie. They know he's in the movie.
They could have left they could have left during the credits and not seen it.
Who leaves after? Who leaves before the credits?
I saw one person leave during the credits when I was in the theater. One person.
He's not ready.
For the new era of movies that always have an after credit scene, no. And I still hate that Marvel's done that shit to us. Fuck you, Marvel.
well, at the very least, there was only one. And you only had to wait until the mid credits. You didn't have to wait.
That's fine. Still fuck Marvel.
Well then. So again, we'll talk about Shadow in the end because I kind of want to tie it over to theories about the third movie.
Oh god. Theories.
Yeah. So anyway, should we just talk about the sequence that kind of comes out of nowhere, and it could be its own movie, but it's really damn awesome at the same time?
Are we talking about the wedding?
The wedding.
It was like 50. Like, we're kind of in the middle of the movie at this point, but 15 minutes, Sonic just vanishes. Like, all of the Sonic characters just gone, and it's just, Rachel and her sister, I believe, who are played by Natasha and who is it?
Tika something.
I forget her name. I apologize.
The actress who plays Maddie, her name is Tika something.
Yeah, that's Tika, and then Natasha is Rachel. That's right.
Yeah,
they're fine actresses. They work great, but it's just like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah,
some of this is funny. Some of it's kind of meh.
I get you that for like 15 minutes, Sonic just vanishes from his own movie. But let's break this down for a second, okay? One, this entire wedding was a fake GUN operation. Again, to the reference number one, GUN is the army, is the army organization in the States. So
First funny joke of this scene, by the way, is her going, "Gee, you ain't a gun, really?" And he's just like, "Yeah,
yeah,
it works." Like that was a good joke. When they, and that's
yeah,
another thing I want to mention. When they make jokes at the game and it's like lore, quote unquote,
yeah.
expense,
It
they
fits.
land
Yeah.
really well. But then you have like, man, then you have Sonic just calling Knuckles the Winter Soldier, and it's like,
Uh, I didn't mind those much because
I don't know, like
it's
some of them don't land very well though. Like, hey,
like I
reference,
get
reference.
I get that it's not everyone's cup of tea. Personally, I don't mind, and I
I
don't
don't
think they
mind it,
over.
but it's just
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like Ryder who's over 50 years old who was on the internet that day and just heard some references and wanted to reference it in his writing and in their writing in the movie. I hear you. I see you. Please retire. I'm
I will
sorry.
say.
You're not that funny.
By the way, I just want to say that I know that the Fast and Furious producers are making these movies, but you don't have to shove Vin Diesel into each Sonic movie now because you did this in the first one, and now you're doing this again here. But I laughed at that. So
Wait, he
what the
was?
hell?
Wait, he was
Yeah,
actually in this movie? What?
no, Sonic mentions.
Oh,
That's the
oh,
thing.
mentions. That's right. Okay, I remember.
Because
I
in
had
the first one
forgotten.
there's the culture and goes I feel like Vin Diesel and then here it's like we'll get to it but when he and Tails find out about the echidnas and the owls fighting so I go just like Vin Diesel and The Rock and it's like
That's
okay
right. I remember that
it's like
reference now.
okay I get it it's funny to me personally I don't mind but it's like we get it, guys. You made Fast and Furious. We're watching Sonic. It's kind of in my mind already. Let's.
I
So the
sighed at
wedding.
that joke because I get you. I see you. I hear you, 50-year-old writer. Please retire. You're not funny anymore.
Anyway, back to
I'm
so the
sorry.
wedding scene. So the fact that this was an operation to kind of because they kind of figured that Tom and Maddie are into them about Sonic. One, I have no idea who the fuck thought up that twist, but it's a good twist. For one, it's funny, and for the second thing, you don't see it coming. Like,
It's it's so stupid though.
it's no, it's stupid. It's beautifully stupid. You know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely
It,
get you. I loved it, but it is the dumbest thing
but
ever.
I love that Rachel asks if even the priest is fake, and then you see as a gun in the book that
I
was
love,
that gun.
and they escalate it too. Like they slowly escalate that joke as well. Like I give them full credit. It is the dumbest thing in the world, but they do very well with it. Like
Yeah.
genuinely, everyone. There wasn't many people in the theater when I went because I went late, but everyone laughed at it. I will admit.
No, in both of my screenings, even the one that had mostly kids in it, everyone was howling at that. It was
Like,
great.
I think everyone gets though, like, it's so stupid. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
But also, it's so dumb. It's just funny. Like,
Yeah, and then again, there's this entire thing of them trying to rescue, Sonic and Tom and Tails, and like they use Tails' gadgets, and like they launch that one guy into the air. It's like, do you think it's gonna come down? I'm not sure. And then, there's this thing with Rachel driving that minivan into the altar, and then she slowly walks out, and there's an explosion. It's like I need to. It's like this is the point. I went into Sonic the Hedgehog, right?
yeah,
This is
like,
a
it just feels like a completely different movie for this, like,
yeah.
entire
Again,
segment.
yeah,
Like,
but again, one of the times I saw this with some of my friends, and one of them was whispering to another friend, her husband, and she was like, why did it suddenly turn into this movie, and why do I care for it just as much, if not more, than the rest of the movie?
I will admit, I personally didn't. I felt like, I could have done with, like, 5 minutes of my
Oh,
time back, at
yeah, no,
least.
don't get me wrong. I also think that this thing is a bit, at least the first time through, it felt a bit slow. It felt
But
like it's like, again, well, so I came to see Sonic.
I will
Where is
admit to
Sonic?
you, you
But
are correct. It does work. Like, I
yeah,
didn't much care for it, but at the same time, I did laugh at it. It was funny, and I did feel like, all right, if this was its own movie, I might be interested, but I don't care about it right here. I feel like, this could have
Yeah,
been
it's
done I could have done without this. I don't mind that I got it. I don't care for it. I didn't really come here for it, but thanks, I guess. I got some laughs out of it. But
yeah. So
I don't know if I
overall,
laughed
I
at it
laughed
because
at
it's
it.
completely funny or if I laughed at it because it's just so stupid.
And that's the thing. I think they kind of want. I think they kind of want you to do both. I have this feeling that it's kind
Fair.
of because it is it is a 2 hours long movie. So obviously, some people say it's too long, but I think out of all the things, they chose to keep that in, and I think it was kind of intentional that it's not 100% legit good.
You know, no, that's completely fair. Like, speaking of that, right? Like, I saw this movie was 2 hours, and I really never did feel like, like looking at my watch, going, okay, it feels like this movie should be done by now, right? Like, it felt like it was the exact amount of length it needed to be. And even though there might be parts that I didn't enjoy as much or jokes that didn't land as well for me personally, I still felt like, yeah, I had fun the entire way through this. I don't feel like this was a waste of my time. I don't feel like I'm hating this. I don't feel like, okay, please, can we just get this over with already, right? Like, it feels like they utilized the entire 2 hours very well.
Yeah, agreed. But I just want to get that thing out of the way because, like, again, brilliant and hilarious, but also so out of left field.
Okay,
And
no,
I
that's
can,
fair.
I
That's
kind of.
very fair.
Okay, so now for the
Can we
rest of the
talk
movie,
about the
yeah.
do I look like I need your power scene?
So yeah, like the entire
I just
introduction of Knuckles?
I just want to say I feel like the trailer did it better. Because I
Oh,
went into the
okay.
movie expecting him to say that line in particular when he's
Mhm.
stopping Sonic in
Yeah.
the ball
Mhm.
form.
Because that's actually interesting because for the trailer they animated him saying it at that point, but in the movie he's not saying anything at this shot.
Yeah,
He says it
he
way
says that
before.
line way before, and I feel like the movie was I feel like the trailer did that scene better. I feel like that line delivered at that moment was way better in the trailer than it was in the movie, and I'm like, man, someone's kicking themselves on the movie crew. Because that line
Honestly,
works way better in that moment than it does when
but
where they used it at, which is like after he punches Sonic and that's it. That's when he used it, and it's like it's
but at
good.
the same
It's a good
time,
line, but it just doesn't feel like it
it
works
was
here.
yeah. I think in context though, because he says this in response to Sonic telling that to Eggman when he shot. So let's
I
just talk
I
about this.
I
Let's
get
talk
it,
about
but I
this entire
think
thing, okay?
if he would have just stayed punched him, stayed silent, and then waited till that moment, and they could have
Mm,
sped it up just a little
okay,
bit, and then waited to
fair.
that moment
Okay.
for him to say the line, I think it would have worked really
Mhm.
well and really made Knuckles appear like the badass he's supposed to be, right? In that
Even
moment.
though he's still, yeah, even though he's still pretty
Oh no, he's still
badass in that
badass in the
moment.
movie. Like he's still great. I'm just saying I think that would have worked way better. And I do think the trailer had that scene, showed that scene off better than what the movie did. Personally, that's just
Fair.
my personal opinion.
Okay. But speaking of this scene, for one, again, if you need a scene which amplifies just how much Jim Carrey embraces Eggman in this
Mm.
movie, when he just sees Sonic and he just goes, "Hello, Hedgehog." There are so many moments where, in the way he says the word Hedgehog, it's like he's literally making Mike Pollock, Eggman's voice actor in the games for the past 2 decades almost. And like
Mm.
you can tell he really he went full on for this. And when you see them, when something, I don't know how you came back, and he's slightly teasing him. And also when Knuckles basically surprise punches Sonic from behind, I think it's a reference to how Knuckles is introduced in Sonic 3, where he out of nowhere punches Super Sonic and takes the Chaos Emeralds away from you.
Hmm.
So it's kind of similar vibe. It's not done 100% the same, right? But I think that's the vibe of like, yeah, suddenly there's this surprise new bad guy getting Sonic when he's the most when he's not expecting it. So that's
Yeah,
great,
fair,
if you
yeah.
ask me. And then obviously Knuckles is already. I do like that. It's gonna build up that Sonic just tries regular punches, but then he tries the thing which sent Robotnik to the Mushroom Planet in the first movie, which is like basically the spin dash,
Mm.
the roll, and Knuckles just grabs them, and it's like nope, no way, you are not beating me that easy.
Yeah.
And again, for throughout the rest, like whenever Sonic and Knuckles get to fight each other, and either the snowboarding fight, which again Ice Cap from Sonic 3, I see you, and also
Mm-hmm.
Sonic Adventure, but I see you there. And in the temple, which is basically the last world from Sonic Adventure, those fight scenes between the two are great,
Yeah.
and I feel like them getting like their bond, I guess, doesn't come out of nowhere because it's not, it's not like it's super developed or anything, but they
It
give them
is.
enough time between fights to breathe and actually talk about it to
Mm-hmm.
the point you believe it.
Well, they also give the characters time separate, right? Like you do get a little bit of what Knuckles values and what Sonic values separate from each other, right? And then when you
Yeah,
see like,
which
oh, here's a scene of Sonic doing something that Knuckles would value in a friend or a partner, and here's Knuckles doing something that Sonic would kind of value in a friend or a partner. Like you get those small little scenes to show you like, okay, I can see how these two would get along if they were on the same side, right?
Mhm. And also, actually, in the snow when they're talking to each other, both of them basically lost everything they had the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Because Knuckles lost his tribe when they went to fight Longclaw at the start of the first movie, and Sonic lost Longclaw, his parental figure.
Mm-hmm.
And like they talk about this, we both lost something that day, and you can see kind of their different, and they actually talk about their different approaches to life because Sonic just kind of, he lost everything he had, but he just started moving forward with it. He started making a life for himself, and even if he sometimes messed up, he learned from this and he keeps going. Knuckles, however, is just dead set on finding the Master Emerald, and we'll get to it. That he can't just blow the rest of the world out of his out of his eyesight, and you can see that Sonic has more street smarts in a sense, while Knuckles is just, I don't want to say dense, but
Knuckles is
that he's
Drax.
so,
Like Knuckles is Drax. Like
yeah,
there's zero irony there, right? Like he does not get
yeah,
irony at all. He's very
not just in terms
straightforward.
of, yeah, not just in terms of irony, even though I agree he got a lot of Drax vibes from Guardians of the Galaxy, but more to the fact that he's that centered on what he has to do that he doesn't understand really a lot, not just irony but social cues.
That's
Like
fair.
he can't necessarily tell when someone is a friend or a foe, and also in that snow scene where he sees Sonic running to protect Tails, he's like, he gave up what we were fighting for in order to save a friend. So like, like something's not fully aligned here
Mm.
with what I learned about the person.
Yeah, that's fair.
And and also, of course, when then Sonic saves them from drowning, which, by the way, another reference, I got you, air bubble. I so got you.
Fair, fair.
So I think the friendship, relationship in general, from enemies to friends, I think this was done really well. It's always Sonic and Tails is a bromance that I live for, but Sonic and Knuckles is really interesting too, and it's nice to see them do that in an honorable way
Yeah.
because I like their connection too. That they, even when they become friends, they start teasing each other. And yes, Sonic does call him a knucklehead. Thank you.
I also loved one of the jokes where, it's in the when they're in the maze, right, and they're fighting there. Sonic even says, for a guy named Knuckles, you're really bad at punching. Like
Actually,
it's a great
he says
joke.
that this in the trailer, but in the movie, he says it in the snowball.
No, he says it in during the
No,
fight.
no, he says it in the snowball fight.
Maybe, but I feel like he said it in the fight in the maze. But I've only seen
Yeah,
it once. I could be misremembering. Either way, it's a
yeah,
good joke.
that's because I really like that line. That's like Peel's 101. And I'm trying to think. So yeah, another thing I like, so in the games, kind of comparing here, Knuckles is the guardian of the Master Emerald. That's like the one thing we know about the Echidnas. They protected the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald, specifically the Master. And Eggman kind of tricks Knuckles into like, hey, so there's this blue hedgehog who is kind of evil and he wants to steal your emerald. Let's work together to defeat him. And Knuckles believes him.
Mm-hmm.
Here, and obviously later on, Eggman steals it, and Knuckles is like, oh no, he duped me. And then Eggman would continue to dupe him for 5, 6 more times. I need to count, but you know what I mean.
Listen, it's Knuckles.
Yeah. Again, there's a reason Sonic calls him Knucklehead, and that's all we're gonna say. But granted, video game Knuckles and this Knuckles aren't Boom Knuckles. Even though I love Boom Knuckles with all my heart, he is hilarious. So back to this. So here, the Master Emerald is sort of what they are on the lookout for. This is like the thing they are searching for.
Mm-hmm.
No one is really guarding it as is, but Knuckles is kind of teaming up with Robotnik, not because Robotnik told him, hey, there's this guy who wants to harm you. He more teams up with him. He teams up with him because, for one, he kind of has a vendetta against Sonic already because he is Longclaw's apprentice, as he calls them.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
also,
because Longclaw and her Owl clan stole the Master Emerald from the Echidnas long ago because the Echidnas were abusing its power.
I was saving it. Okay. I was saving talking about it.
Didn't realize.
Because I didn't tell you, so it's okay. But I will say I am saving it for later, and you'll see what I want to keep. I want to save it.
Fair enough.
Because it kind of connects to what I have to say regarding shadows. So we'll get there.
I see.
But yeah, so here it's more of a race to find the emerald, and Knuckles isn't necessarily that, oh, this guy told me something about this person and I better trust him. It's more that he already has something against Sonic.
Yeah.
So they have a common enemy. And then as the time moves on, you can see that Knuckles is like slowly not really caring for Eggman's methods, and also Eggman is like, yeah, this guy's a means to an end. Once he leads me to this emerald, he gone. Which eventually Eggman finds the Master Emerald and takes it, as we expected him to be. We expect him to do because bad guy. So. Again, there are interesting changes to the source material here, but there are changes that work.
Yeah.
And so again, I appreciate that they actually take the chance, they do the changes well, they fit. I am always appreciative of that because it's a different continuity, it's a different thing. So I don't want it to be like the game's 101. Just remind me of it enough that I can say it's. Speaking of which, so Sonic and Tails' relationship, I feel they condensed it, but they left enough of it there so that I could say, yeah, these are the Sonic and Tails I know from the game. What did you think about their connection?
I feel Tails is a little creepy. Watching, obsessive fan of Sonic much, but okay.
It kind of fits with the idea of, oh, I heard of this guy who did this thing, and then when I met him, he let me tag along because I could keep up with him. But yeah, like watching his every move, that's like. But kudos to the guy who's just like, hey, you know what? I heard that there's this junk who's looking for you, so I'm here to help. Nice to meet you.
Fair. I think they did he came because, hey, I wanted to warn you. Still a little bit creepy about how they explained how he knew and stuff, But I get it, right? Like Tails just supposed to be the younger one. Like he's not supposed to really get why that's not exactly a thing he should do. It's
Yeah,
just weird,
and
but again, like it works for the character. It's fine. It's not a huge deal.
and 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 they kind of touched on the idea that he is kind of suffering from bullying trauma, and
Mm.
despite his gadgets, Sonic helps him see his world. It is in the movie. They talk about it. I just think at some point it kind of goes away, but I still got that. I still got what I wanted out of these two. And
Hmm.
like, come on, when they go to sleep in that bar and Tails covers Sonic with his tail, it's like, I like that's it. You got me. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, that was good. That was enjoyable. It's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah,
Also,
there's a few people in the theater when I was in there that went, oh, out
yeah,
loud.
yeah, just less all about that, all about this old lady cuddling Sonic afterwards. But yeah,
Yeah, that was a good. I will admit that was a good joke, though. Unexpected
also,
joke. Like that entire
also,
scene, like out in Siberia, doing everything that happened there. I'm not even going to talk about it. I want to leave that one for you to go watch. Go watch it so you can see that scene of them
two
going to
things I will.
Siberia in that bar. It is
Yeah,
just mwah.
yeah, I will say two things. One, without giving away too much, because one, the fish, and two, I don't know who this bald guy is, but I hope he goes places.
Fair enough.
And also, I can't use Sonic Adventure box outposts. You are not gonna get away from me.
Fair enough.
Doing the dance off when Sonic jumps into the air, when he does like the split in the air, and he's like doing
Spoilers.
this thing in his hand. Yeah, that's the original Sonic Adventure box. And
Mm.
yeah, he also does this in Generations, and I got you there, movie. Anyway, so we talked about Tails. We mentioned Eggman. We mentioned Knuckles. I'm trying to think if
I mean, I
there's
gotta mention again.
yeah.
Like going back to Idris. I feel Idris Elba as Knuckles stole the
Mhm.
movie quite a lot.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
genuinely loved him like reading out the text verbatim and just
Yeah,
dot
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 dot dot
dot
dot
dot.
dot. Like I chuckled a bit too hard at that one. I admit.
And also, I like that they also Eggman has this little Sonic hologram there, and then Knuckles just smashes it, and it's like a tiny hologram of Hedgehog defeated.
Yeah. I also love how Stone and Eggman just back and forth, like him standing there, could probably hear them, but probably isn't paying them any attention anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just
Yeah.
talking about, you're gonna drop this guy, right? Like, we're not sticking with him, right? And Eggman's like, don't worry, don't worry. I know. I do love, like, Stone is like, their insert character here, but I think he's great. They should include him in
No,
more Sonic.
Stone. No, Agent Stone is
Oh, he
like one
is.
of my favorite things from the movies. Anyway,
Ah,
like he is such a good addition. I love him.
yeah. I think
And
he's
and
just
also,
great.
and also, I am sorry that I can't remember his name at the moment, but like the actor also on Twitter, he is so awesome. And
I I
if he
try
ever
to
listens to
pronounce his
this,
last name, but I'll probably butcher it. But I'm gonna Lee. I'm just gonna give you his
yeah.
first name, not his last name. I'm gonna butcher it so bad if I try.
But
I'm
anyway,
sure.
this Lee guy, like I follow him on Twitter. He is he's such a sweet bean, or should I say, mean bean, because that's what they call the cafe. I catch you, Dr. Robotnik's mean bean machine. Haha. Okay, but like he is such a sweet bean. I love him. He's amazing. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, he's great.
If you're listening to this for whatever reason, you are amazing.
No,
I
100%.
so so yeah. So we have a Stone, as we mentioned. I'm trying to think. Regarding actual set pieces, is there anyone that stuck out to you?
Ooh, I, I again, I kind of we talked about it a little bit, like the plane, seeing that in
Mhm.
the wedding background, right? In that
Yeah,
scene, like that's the plane they use, right? Like they give you like, hey, there
mhm.
it is, flying up above, showing like the
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
like,
Yeah,
hey,
that was,
happy marriage, right? And blah blah blah. The banner flying back behind the plane. They show you that once or
mhm.
twice in the background of different scenes within during the marriage, right? And then you see Tails flying that exact same plane later on in the film. Like
Yeah,
again, that goes back to those
because
subtle things they do to build stuff up. It's great.
yeah, and now we have the tornado.
And
Woo.
they even show you right earlier in the movie, oh, how would Tails like commandeers a police vehicle, right, to get to Sonic faster and
Yeah.
everything, so he can try to remain
Mhm.
hidden. And they even
By the way,
show you
I
very
love
briefly
that.
how he's hitting the pedals, even though he's so small.
Yeah. I do also love that, both Knuckles and Tails are actually fast. It's not like, oh, one can fly, the other is really strong. They are actually as fast as Sonic, like they are in the games.
Mhm.
So, one of those things that again, it's a small detail, but I appreciate it.
I also,
So,
but it like in
yeah.
terms of specific scenes that I thought were like, wow. I I feel like I would give it to the scene of him running over the ocean, right? I think that was just great.
Yeah,
That was done so
I
well.
I was about to mention because that's also one of my for one because this is the point where Sonic is at his lowest at this point because he met this kid who looks up to him and they got really close over this journey and as he says he almost got that kid killed and it's like some hero am I and then he knows I'm when they see the Master Emerald, beam out up there, and like I'm the only one who can get there, and he's not taking the long way on it. He's just standing over the ocean. His biggest fear, and he goes, no, I'm gonna run on, and Sonic running on water is not a new thing. It's something he's done in the games, but here, when it comes to like him conquering a fear and also having to maneuver through waves and thunderstorms and stuff. I agree. That was a really great scene.
But even
Like,
just, how it looks, the camera shots during all of it, like they did exceptionally well in this. Like
mhm.
I feel the first film had that, hey, we're doing the slow down moment where you can see Sonic doing all these crazy things during the slow down moment, and then everything kind of happens all at once as you see time go back to normal, right? Like the first
Mhm.
movie had that. You get a few more scenes of that in this movie, but I feel like this movie
Yeah, like in the snow.
needed to have
It,
that one scene that set itself apart. And I feel like
mhm.
either the snowboarding scene or the like or just the entire thing of them snowboarding down the mountain, either that or him running
Yeah,
across the ocean, one of those two are like
yeah,
this movie's thing. Like it's big,
mhm.
this is us
Yeah,
showing off in a way,
mhm.
right?
Yeah. I really like that running over the water scene. Thank you for bringing it up because I loved it too.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that was
oh,
my personal favorite big set piece. I felt like,
mhm. Other great set pieces. So for one, another thing I kind of like is as at the beginning when Sonic is trying to be a hero. So like this entire thing, with the police chase and then the swirls going boom. Two Sonic Adventure references. If you haven't played Sonic Adventure, you should. That's one thing I'll say. But those two references make me smile. And also that you can say that Sonic is not the best hero. He's definitely learning, but at the same time, I'm glad that nobody really got hurt in this thing. You know,
fair.
he does accomplish it. It just accomplishes. It's just that he could have done better.
He accomplishes it very poorly and with a lot of property
Yeah,
damage.
yeah. That. But I did like that he ended up stopping this car by basically just unplugging everything about it. That like it's just a skeleton.
Again, though, it's one of those things that feel distinctly Sonic, right?
Yeah. Mhm. So another, I liked Eggman and Knuckles going through, the temple, and Eggman being like, okay, there's a trap every 7 seconds, and then this axe almost takes. It's like, oh, this one was a bit early, huh?
Yeah.
And also, after Eggman gets the Master Emerald, like, again, Jim Carrey is having a ball throughout this entire thing. You know, him flying
Yeah.
around and then. By the
Yeah.
way, this robot, final boss of Sonic 2, that egg robot, I see you there.
Yeah.
And and then the other thing is, again, talking about the final battle, seeing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles together fighting, coordinating, and doing combo attacks and stuff. I was smiling so hard. I can't even describe how much. This was, and as someone who grew up with Sonic Heroes too, this was like, this was so cool. This was
Yeah.
so freaking cool.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely was a like, hey, here's your fan service.
But you say this, but it's also like it makes sense that
Oh yeah,
it
no,
got
it's
here.
perfectly
It's
it
just,
perfectly fits. It's not fan service that's in there for no reason. It works. It makes perfect sense that it's there, but this is for the fans.
yeah, and also the interactions with each other, that like,
And there's
okay,
nothing
that
wrong with that.
yeah, and that like Sonic thinks, okay, what do we need to do? Tails has no gadget that really can do something to this robot. And then Knuckles, obviously, it's like the obvious weak spot is the groin, and then they're like, and then Sonic actually figures out, wait a minute, I'm the weak spot. He needs to focus on me, and then you guys can go in for the attack. And Knuckles is like, yes, you're gonna die honorably in order to help us. And it's like, yeah, let's work on let's walk about your morale afterwards, buddy. And they actually walk, and then Tails actually has to fly Knuckles into the robot and distract. And they are actually working as a team, and it's great.
Again, and a lot of the writing in this scene is really great too, because it's just all of their back and forth, which really works. And too,
Yeah.
I loved the joke of like, Tails saying, Knuckles, you're so heavy. And he's like, cause I'm 1,000% muscle, and just falls in. Or when they're in I think it was a helicopter, I believe, right? Yeah, no, it was on the plane. I don't know why I thought helicopter.
Yeah. You just talking about how much you love to explain where the plane came from.
I'm calling it a helicopter. It's a helicopter now. The helicopter, yeah, the plane. When they're like, okay, so how are we going to get in there? And Knuckles, we need you to, and he just falls off the plane.
Yeah, I'm talking like, oh yeah, okay, so you're just gonna ditch us.
Again, a lot of the writing in that final scene leading up to the big battle with the giant robot is so well done.
And again, another thing from the games, Tails piloting the plane and Sonic standing on top of the wing. That's a classic image. And I say classic image, but they keep doing it. This is how the flight arrangement works for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And after this, I think we can kind of move on to Supersonic.
Mm-hmm.
I was debating if they were gonna do this in this movie, since I've seen the Master Emerald in the trails. I'm like, are they gonna do it? Is it too early? Is it the right time? Either way, they did it super well. The build-up for him was just the right amount, like seeing the robot actually crushes Sonic, Tom, and Maddie, seeing Eggman actually gulps about it, then then seeing the golden thing, and slowly seeing Sonic rising it, and when he's rising it, his quills are still, in the normal form, and then when he just flies up, they're all up. It's supersonic. It looks so damn good. And please don't say, I wish we lived in the alternate universe with the awful design to see how that would have looked. Because no.
Man, a part of me still does, but no, it looks great, but a part of me, I still want to see it, man. Still want to see it.
Someone probably made the fan edit of it. You may not.
They will eventually, I'm sure, but I can't wait to see that. But man, it would be so bad, but it would be glorious.
Yeah, but yeah, I was happy to see Supersonic.
Yeah.
He was used just right, And also Jeff Fowler, the director, how could you shove in a Sonic 06 reference into this climax and make me say, you clever bastard, and not just go boo? How did you do that?
What was the Sonic 06 reference?
Basically, after Sonic beats the robot up, so like the final thing he does is that he does like this tippy toe thing, and that makes the robot fall. So he does this in
Clever.
06 too, not Supersonic, regular Sonic, but there's this scene in the opening to Sonic's campaign in Sonic 06. There's one robot after he destroys the other that he just does this thing with a tippy toe and it falls over, and it's like the close up is like 1-to-1. It's like you even put a Sonic 06 reference in this movie and it works. What the hell?
Fair play.
And again, Eggman going, "Oh, really? That's how you're gonna do it? Well."
Yeah, that was good too. That was funny.
Actually, I also like that he's like, "How about I did some things, you did some things. Let's be bygones." And then like Sonic stops the punch. It's like, it's so good. And also, I couldn't believe they even did this. That like when Sonic lands, goes back down, and Knuckles is like, "Wait, he's no longer the Sonic we once knew." And Sonic summons this thunderstorm. You are really going with the British comic reference where Super Sonic is evil. What the hell are you doing, movie? And then like, nope, it's a chili dog.
Mm-hmm. I have nothing to say. Like it's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to add. You have said it all.
Yeah, and okay. So what do you have to add, at least on the scene afterwards of Tails and Knuckles joining the family and just trying to have fun?
It's
Knuckles
good.
trying to have
I don't
fun.
think there's anything wrong with it. I think it again, this kind of comes back to that. It feels like there's slightly two different movies here. Like they didn't meld the two as well with the whole found family idea and starting his new family, right, with the Wachowskis and all that. These two things were very much sidelined and separated quite hard in this movie, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it does stand out when you see the Wachowskis in the live action cast return from the previous movie, and it's like I don't know.
These two things are supposed to coexist. I get you.
It's not that they can't coexist. I think they can. I just don't think they did the best of jobs melding them as well. I do think the first movie did that better.
Because again, it had less of that fictional stuff to work with. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, considering.
But overall, I do think the fictional stuff makes this movie better, right? I think I think the first movie was lesser in that regard. It's like give and take, right? Like, what do you enjoy more? And personally, I do enjoy it more when this movie tried to be more Sonic. I think it does better and is a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. When it starts to try and be not Sonic is when I think, you're on the edge, you've fallen off a little bit, all right, you've climbed back up again, you're doing okay. I don't know what the fuck you're doing here with the wedding scene. It works, but what the fuck? I don't get this, but it works, but I don't get And okay, you've fallen off, all right, you're back up again, all right, now we're Sonic again. Better. If that makes any sense to you, there you go.
Yeah,
There's your box office quote.
Okay. One thing about the final scene is that Knuckles mentioned in the grapes are Knuckles' favorite food. ICU movie. Good job. And again, just all of them interacting is fun, and then. So I think we basically covered everything. I think the only two things are the Owls versus Echidnas thing and Shadow.
Yeah, I will say Tom Butler as Commander Walters. I love that he's just fucking clueless.
By the way, if he is, because they use gun as it should be. I'll talk about this later. Regarding the entire thing with Shadow. If he's supposed to be the movie version of the gun commander from Shadow the Hedgehog, like freaking kudos, like I'm clapping. You hear me clapping? I'm clapping.
I think it's great. I hope he is.
No, no, I hope too, because that means I can actually laugh at this character legit. And not just because he's an awful, awful addition like he was in Shadow the Hedgehog. And by the way, quick thing about Shadow before we actually get to him. Um, no references to Shadow's game, please. Any kind of lore you had there, kaput, let's ignore that. We don't need it.
Oh, I hope they do reference it though. It's gonna be so good. Like, I hope
You
they
know,
reference it
it's
as
a
a
joke.
"this is stupid" and joke
Yeah,
about it. Like, I think they will. Like, considering how they've done stuff so
actually,
far.
yeah, like
But
if they
man,
take jobs at the game, actually, fun fact, actually, Jeff Fowler, the director of the movies, his first job working with Sega was on the animation studio that did the CG for the movies.
hmm,
His first project was being an animator on the Shadow the Hedgehog game for the
hmm,
CG cuts. So
cool.
he says it in the commentary for the first movie. So
Hmm.
that's interesting.
So he has a lot of experience with that game.
Actually, he said in interviews that he always knew that Shadow was gonna be a part of this universe. When they asked him, "Did you consider to tease another character?" Nope, it was always Shadow. And
Ah,
like I get it because like as someone who is in the middle about Shadow as a character, I think it was kind of obvious because Shadow is one of the most popular ones. But okay, I said we'll get to Shadow in a bit. I want to ask you a question about the because it connects to, in my opinion, kinda. What are your thoughts about the owls versus the echidnas thing?
I think I think it works. I think it fits. I don't see anything wrong with it personally. I think it works as motivation for Knuckles to be here. It makes sense, and it works for Sonic as well, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a perfectly well executed movie, way to get the story going and to make things line up story wise, right? And not feel like how, why, where. Like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
perfect addition for the movie.
Yeah.
You may not need it for the
So
games. You may not, you'll never, and you don't have to use it for the games at any
because
point, but it
also
works
like I
here.
said, like I told you in when we covered the first movie, Longclaw is an addition to the movies. She
Hmm.
is not in the games.
Hmm.
This is the movie thing. So again, I like it that there's like a lore to it that you connect them with the echidnas. It also explains why they were after Sonic in the first movie. It takes something that the first movie establishes and builds up on them.
Hmm.
I think they also kind of forget about it at some point because at the very start in the Mushroom Planet, there are these live action bird warriors who try to take on Eggman before Knuckles shows up. And you could probably tell that they might be connected, but the movie doesn't really have much focus on it. And on the one hand, I like it because that means they're leaving stuff for you to try and figure out before the
Hmm.
next movie comes out and yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 the movie is confirmed, by the way. We are getting it. So I like that there's something for you to try and figure out, but I also think we could have maybe done a bit more with that because it feels like it's just there to establish the class emeralds are a thing inside the Master Emerald, and that's it.
My assumption was it was just Knuckles training other warriors, and once they were taken out, he was like, "Eh, weren't worth it," and then he just move on. I didn't think much of
Uh,
it. Maybe there'll be
mhm.
more to it, like, and maybe
No,
this
I
movie
mean
has a
in
plan
terms
for that.
of
But I'm like,
I
it's not
meant more
something
in
I
terms of
go ahead. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I meant more in terms of the law because suddenly there's
Mm-hmm.
this information and for something that's both used in the games and both new for the movies, it's like wait a minute, that's all you're gonna give us? Okay.
Fair, fair.
But okay, with that being said, man, I had something to say about the Elder Kidneys, and it just literally escaped me. Fuck, what was it? um,
About how bad this movie is, I know.
no, shut up. Okay, so you know what? Here's what I have to ask you. Since again it's kind of connected.
Hmm.
What what do you know about Shadow's backstory?
Ooh, I think he's supposed to be like something Dr. Robotnik found or created, right? Or his dad did or something like that.
His grandfather.
Grandfather, that's it. And then
Mhm.
Shadow was just locked away for a long time.
Yeah. So the reason I'm asking this is because so you are right. Gerald Robotnik, Eggman's grandfather, is Shadow's creator, and like in the mid credits, and as soon as they said dating back 50 years ago, I'm like, I fucking called it because I knew they were going to tease Shadow. Like I even have a theory video about this on my YouTube channel. I have proof that I called it.
Shameless self
But
plug.
mhm. But I can be shameless. I freaking called it. So yeah.
Fair.
And and also I've seen some audience reactions to this scene on YouTube, and it's like as soon as they say 50 years ago, everyone was just going, oh. I was the same. As soon as they say it's 50 years ago, I'm like, oh. And then you actually see him. He looks like he should. He looks great. I hope that Keanu Reeves voices him, and
Oh, that would be great. Oh my
I'm
god.
I am only saying it because somebody tweeted that, and it's like, hey, okay, you know what, that could work.
That would be amazing. Oh, that would be
So,
wonderful. which
so
which
yeah,
Keanu Reeves? Like, are we talking Matrix Keanu Reeves? Are we talking what's that movie? The recent one he
John Wick.
did? John Wick Keanu Reeves. Yeah, we talking
Yeah,
that
I
Keanu
think
Reeves or
I
Matrix
I
Keanu
think
Reeves?
I think John Wick fits more. If we
Mm,
if we're
mm.
gonna take John Wick into the if we're gonna take John Wick, I can work. If we're gonna if we're gonna cast Keanu Reeves as Shadow, like for real, then might as well do the John Wick thing
Fair.
because
Very fair.
mhm.
I think it fits a lot more
um,
too.
for a character who is insistent on avenging his best friend, yeah, it fits better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, Anyway, so where was I? So yeah, so Shadow's grandfather, Eggman's grandfather, Joel Robotnik, created Shadow because in order to create the ultimate life form, and he did this because the Sonic Adventure 2 doesn't really get into it, but speaking of Sonic Adventure 2, one of the gun choppers says SA2, which is a chopper called Sigma Alpha 2 from that game, and it also says Sonic Adventure 2. So I got you, movie. Good job. Um, so he did. The game doesn't really explain it, but he basically created Shadow in order to find a cure for his granddaughter, Eggman's cousin Maria. And and the thing is that at some point the military organization, raids the Ark, shoots Maria, and she sends Shadow to Earth. And obviously, so Shadow was locked away, and Gerald is like internally pissed off. He kind of programmed the space colony Ark, where he did his research, to just crash into Earth once all the chaos emeralds are collected, and destroy Earth, and that way everyone will suffer for making him lose his granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he went insane.
Mm.
And so the reason I'm mentioning all this is because one kind of fan theory, but also kind of confirmed theory, is that Joel Robotnik studied the Echidnas. You know, Knuckles' tribe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how we discover the Chaos Emeralds. That's how we discover their power, and what it can be used for. So my thing. If we are setting up Shadow now, and you're just giving us this tease into the Echidnas versus Owls thing, and now that we know Shadow is gonna be a thing in the next movie, I wonder if Joel Robotnik is gonna play into that role. because there's also a theory that the reason Shadow looks, Shadow has his spikes up like Supersonic, is because he saw mural that would predict Supersonic would beat one of Eggman's creations. So I have a feeling they might actually do that. I'm not saying this is for certain, but I feel like they didn't tell us anything regarding the lore with the echidnas and the owls because they want to save it to when we see Gerald Robotnik actually studied them and use them to create Shadow.
And that, so you think that would be, so that's a part of like the original storyline, quote unquote, yeah?
Yeah,
he studied them. It's a theory, but it's
one of those. It's kind of a theory, but like some of it is a theory. Like the mural thing I mentioned, that's just people connecting the dots. But we know that he studied these echidnas at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be possible, and I think that would work in really well. That's why they didn't go too deep into it. And that would give them the chance to explain it a bit more and give those answers that people might want and have, right?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't feel off in any way.
True. So I very much looking forward to see what they're going to do with this. And on a jokey note, I sure hope the fucking asshole Ken Panders isn't gonna sue anybody over there. Hey, Knuckles of the family. Should I explain this to you? I think I should.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna make this real quick, but Ken Panders was originally the guy who wrote the Archie Sonic comics. And the thing is that he created a lot of characters and lore into the comics, and among them, he was really obsessed with Knuckles. He gave Knuckles like an entire fucking family tree, revolving around the idea of the echidnas and what it means for him to be an echidna and all of that jazz. Yeah, like he was really into that. So the thing is that at some point he was fired and was replaced by Ian Flynn, who is amazing. And after that, at some point, Ken Panders just kind of started trademarking all the characters he created under his run of the comics. And when he did that, he sued both Archie and Sega for basically using his IP without his permission.
So he's that kind of asshole.
He's that kind of asshole, yes. And this is not even the entirety of assholiness, because something. One of the sagas he wrote for the Archie stuff is called Endgame, and it's a 4-part saga. So he actually said that the Avengers movies are copies of his Sonic arc because it's named Endgame and it's the 4th movie.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, and I do think this is completely fair to say, I think artists absolutely should be entitled to own the characters they create for anything, right? As an artist, if you created that character, if you made that character, if you gave it the personality, the design, everything, I think you should absolutely be able to claim ownership of that character. I don't think you should sue other companies, though, for, like, 1, using a phrase, and 2, because you don't own a phrase, let's be clear, as many companies try to. You can't own fucking phrases, so don't be an asshole in that regard. But 2, suing the company after the fact is also very asshole-ish as well.
And not only that, it's also that basically the legal thing is revolving around this, that basically the Archie claimed that Ken Panders signed a work for contract, a work for contract kind of contract, which means work for hire contract. Sorry. Which basically means that, he's working on the property. Whatever character he creates under that property belongs to the IP holder, aka Sega.
Which would be fair.
Yeah. But the thing is, the Archie lawyers couldn't actually produce the contract. They just have a photograph of it.
Of course.
And you can fabricate. Yeah. So basically, this thing kind of lingered because both Archie and Sega kind of ghosted him for like 2 years until Colt was just like, fuck it. And then
It's the 90s. We
And then,
didn't in the, early 90s, right? We didn't think.
dude, this was in the 2000s.
Okay, it's early 2000s. We didn't think about, data preservation and shit back then.
Okay, now when he signed the contract, allegedly, that was in the 90s, yes. But
Okay, yeah, then yeah, back in the 90s, we didn't think about a photo's fine.
and then the other thing is that I'm not sure not sure how many people remember Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, but it was a thing. Let me assure you, it was a thing. That game, it's an RPG for the record, like BioWare people,
Oh yeah,
and
that one.
and yeah, and like they had entire Echidna tribe there too, an entire thing plot revolving around Knuckles. So Ken Pandas also sued Sega and EA because they bought BioWare shortly after that, because they basically stole his characters and plot.
Is all you can say to this fellow.
Yeah,
Again, I do
again,
feel
and again,
should be allowed to own the characters you create and everything, even if like a contract set up like that. I think is completely unfair to the creators. I think you should be allowed to own the characters you create for an IP, but don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, and essentially EA and Sega ghosted them again. I think he's still trying to pursue this thing. I don't know, but all I have
Of
to
course.
say, Ken Panders, if you're listening to this by any chance, one, you don't own the fucking Echidnas, all right? Sega does, and Sega owns Knuckles. You can't even deny that. And two, you're a freaking asshole. And if you're gonna sue me for that, freedom of speech, motherfucker.
Please don't sue us. We can't afford it. It's a free podcast, by the way. No ads, no nothing.
Forget that. Even if we did, it's like freedom of speech for one, and two, don't be an asshole about it. So for one, I just really hope Ken Panders isn't gonna bother Paramount with this shit, because as soon as I saw that shot, I was like, oh boy. I hope they are aware.
I doubt it.
I think Sega warned them though. It's like, hey, listen, this guy is kind of a maniac, and better watch out. We're just saying. Peace.
Fair enough. Question for you though is, we've seen Shadow now. Does this mean we're gonna get Rouge the Bat?
I actually had to talk about this. I actually had talks about this with my friends. Like, if Shadow is here, then what other characters I want to see? And if we're gonna do Shadow, that means we're going for Sonic Adventure 2, kinda. And essentially, Rouge is Shadow's tails. So I think she kinda has to be there. And also,
but
since
considering a lot of people see this film as like a kid's film, right, or are targeted for kids, do you think people might get iffy about Rouge the Bat?
I'd say it depends how they're gonna design her, because if they go with her hero's design, I don't see any people complaining about it.
Fair.
But also, it does bring up the fact that how can the other characters really fit? Because we know Sonic and Knuckles come from the same planet, because Tails has his own planet, which we are not sure if it's even the same one. Shadow is a creation. He was created by John Robotnik. So where would Rouge come? Because in the games she's just established as a gun agent. Like, the first time you see her, she's part of the military. Because you kind of learn to expect that Sonic and all these guys are just existing with humans. It's a thing. So how are they gonna do this? I don't know.
Actually, but I think they might already have like a thing for this. Maybe I feel like this could be just me. I could be I'm very much theory territory at this moment, but I think.
Yeah.
Did you see the woman who was talking to Commander Walter, like Tom Butler's character?
Yeah.
At the end, right before they introduced Shadow, like that woman.
Yes. Yeah,
what if she's supposed to be like the Rouge the Bat as Shadow's like tails, right?
I think for one, they could totally do it and not bother
Like change up
with
the
creating
character and make her very
yeah.
different, but wink,
But I will
wink. This is
say,
that character.
yeah,
Wink, wink.
yeah, I get it. But I think at the same time, they might know that if you're gonna do Rouge, then just do Rouge. you know, it's kind of like what I said about the Uncharted movie. It's like that there's this character who's basically not Nadine from Uncharted 4. It's like if you're gonna do this character, do this character.
I don't know. Like I'm okay with it if it's different enough, right? Like this is our
Mhm.
reference to, this is our homage to, but it's a different character, right? I'm fine if she's different, but that's the idea, quote unquote, right? Like Stone is
Mhm.
supposed to be some of the, a stand-in, I suppose you'd say, for like some of the sidekicks Robotnik has had, but
Yeah, but that's just, okay, so that's his sidekick in this version. It's not
yeah, but
supposed to
like
be. eh,
but Stone does
either.
stand apart on his own, right? Like Stone is very much
Yeah.
different. Stone isn't supposed to be
Mhm.
like he's a homage to, but he is very much his
I
own
will
thing as
say,
well. I think if
yeah,
they
I
did
will say,
that with Shadow's quote unquote tales, it would be fine. If that's who
I
that
will
character is
say,
supposed to
if
be.
yeah, I get what you mean. I would say if she is enough of her own thing, then you know what, go for it. But if they're just gonna make her like Rouge, then just do Rouge at this point.
Fair, fair, very fair.
Mhm. But yeah, I think if you're gonna do Shadow, then might as well do Rouge. If you're inserting another one, people ask for Amy. I am not entirely sure if I can see Amy fitting. She could, I just don't see how. People suggested cream and cheese. They are really not fitting, in my opinion. I don't really care for. Like cream is fine. I just don't.
I don't know. I
Actually,
feel like,
there
after
are.
Shadow, they really, I
Mhm.
like, maybe you get Rouge in, but I feel like, stay
I
away
think
from
if
some
they
of the other Sonic characters.
because
Probably don't involve
I will
Rouge
say
either,
this
but
though. I will say this: if they do Shadow, then I think people are gonna vouch for Silver. But I think
please
considering the
no.
tone of the movies, like I don't mind Silver as a character, but I think considering the tone of the movies and stuff, essentially throwing time travel in there is just gonna be pushing it.
Nobody wants to
Um,
anymore. The one reference for Sonic 06 is good enough. Nobody wants anymore. Nobody needs anymore.
you know that people actually like this game now for some fucking reason.
I don't judge if but people are allowed to be
No,
wrong as much as they want
uh,
to be. I don't
the,
judge, but I'm fine with people being allowed to be wrong.
I wonder if these are the same, if they are the same as the critics who say that this movie has too much of Sonic and his friends and not enough humans. Oh yeah, professional critics actually say that.
I know. I've seen some of that. Um I don't know, like
Regarding the thing, I think we are basically gonna try and do Sonic Adventure 2, but
mhm.
obviously with differences.
Yeah.
I'm not sure at the moment because obviously when the first movie ended, I'm like, well, obviously there's a piece for Tails, and like Tails, Knuckles, go because obviously these are the two main ones. This is Team Sonic. You gotta have those.
Mhm.
And now Shadow obviously is a fan. That's yeah. If I want anyone else, it's let let's see if they announce anyone else. That's all I'll say. Once Paramount, once you make your move, I'll judge. But right now, I can't really think of it.
Very fair.
The the one thing I will ask you though, out of the third movie and the Paramount Plus Knuckles TV show with Idris Elba returning, which one fascinates you more?
I didn't even know there was an Idris Elba Knuckles TV show.
Yeah, there is. They announced it the same day as Sonic 3,
Huh.
which means they announced Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Ah, I see what you did there, Paramount.
Haha. Um as a outsider,
Mm-hmm.
neither of them are things like I'm gonna rush to see. But
Yeah, of course.
I will say that because I have experience with both, at least like there's a passing interest in both. I'm curious to see, can you do Shadow well, and I'm also willing to say Idris Elba as Knuckles was really great, and if they're giving him his own show, I'm curious. I want to see, like, can this character carry his own show, right, with Idris Elba voice acting.
Because I'm also curious, and we only know that there's a show featuring Knuckles with Idris Elba returning, but we don't know, is this a prequel? Is this taking place between the movies? Is it even gonna come out before the third movie? We don't know
We're
anything
turning
about
Sonic
it.
the movie into its own cinematic shared universe now as well. Damn it.
Actually, you say that Jeff Fowler actually said in an interview that he would love to do a Smash Brothers movie one
Oh my god. I kind of want to see that too.
day.
Chris Chris Pratt plays every character.
No, no, he may be Mario, but keep him away from my son, please.
No, he plays
Also,
every character. Every character.
people will be so mad.
I would love it. Chris Pratt gotta eat, yo. He need the money.
Oh, he doesn't need the money. He can eat. He
Fuck
eats
me.
very well.
Every Nintendo character is played by Chris Pratt.
But
Me.
it's funny. It's funny that he said it though, because okay, great. Obviously, he said it as kind of like, I'm not sure about the context, but maybe just like, yeah, this is something that could be cool. I would love to do that if they want me. But then again, Sonic is Paramount, Mario is at Illumination. Who knows how the fuck this is gonna turn out? Because have you seen this casting?
I mean, to be
Besides Jack
fair,
Black,
you don't have to do like Sonic in a Smash Brothers movie. Not entirely so, anyways. But
yeah, but I get what you mean. But it's also, I'm not sure if, considering all the characters that are in Smash Brothers, I'm not sure if, because I think Mega Man is on Netflix. That movie is going to Netflix,
more
and
importantly, more importantly,
yeah,
how the fuck do you do a Smash Brothers movie with like a villain? Your villain is a giant fucking hand. This movie would be so dumb, and I want it now because it's so stupid.
doesn't Brawl have this? I don't remember its name, but doesn't have like this big blue thing that in Brawl in the subspace emissary?
Yeah, there's a thing there, but it also kind of goes back to the hand as well. Master Hand is, it's so stupid. Like, again, it's a fighting game story. You're not there for it to make sense or care. But also, it's just, I don't.
Sakurai is the villain.
That man is a national treasure for just making the greatest crossover of all time.
No,
and
like
making it
no,
work.
like you know something. I can just see Sakurai saying, "I'm out." Like after Sora was announced to Smash, he's like, "I'm out. I'm done. I'm not gonna do anymore." And then suddenly Jeff Fowler is like, "I want to make a Smash movie," and he's like, "Guess I'm back into it."
That man will continuously say, "I'm out. I'm finally done. This is my magnum opus. Okay, I'm back for more."
Just as I thought I was out, they pull me right back in.
He wants to be in. He knows he does. But that man needs a break, though. But anyways.
No, just make him the Stan Lee, okay? Make him the Stan Lee that he just shows up.
Randomly in the movie. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit. That he deserves that.
Yeah, not the Nolan North, because that was a bit awkward, but you know what I mean. Okay, back to Sonic. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie. I think, overall, I enjoyed this movie a lot more than the first one. I had a lot more fun with it. I do think, comparatively, like, story-wise, the first movie is better. I think it melds everything a lot better, right? Again, both movies are flawed, but they both have their own strengths as well.
Yeah.
Like, they're flawed in different ways, and they have different strengths, too. Overall, though, I think if you're a fan, you're going to love this. And if you're not a fan, I don't think it's going to win you over, but you'll have fun with it if it's something you just want to sit down and watch.
Mhm. So with that said, I kind of agree. Like I'm a big Sonic fan, and I had the time of my life. Go watch it if you are a Sonic fan too. This is a love letter to us.
Mm.
And just like Spider-Man fans ate well when No Way Home came out, Sonic fans are eating well with this. And as a fan of both, I am very well fed. Fuck Chris Pratt being fed, and
And you
that's
hopefully have a third movie on the way and a show with Idris Elba
uh,
as Knuckles. I mean,
these are confirmed, so we are gonna get them.
even if they're not the greatest things ever, you're eating well as Sonic fans. Like you finally,
Yeah.
Sonic is
And
good
this is
again.
only, well, we have two other things Sonic this year. There's Sonic Prime, the Netflix show, which we know very little about, except
Mm.
for the fact that Man of Action, who created the Big Hero 6 comic team and worked on Ben 10, they are developing it.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. And we also have Sonic Frontiers at the end of the year. And so this is going to be an interesting year for the Blue Blur and already kicking off a good start. So
Sonic's
let's
no
give.
Sonic seems to no longer be a really weird meme anymore. He's actually like, hey,
Um,
he's cool again.
let's hope. Like I so hope that Frontiers is good. Let us
Mm.
pray. And on that note, that's all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie? What the scene did you like the most? What are your expectations for seeing Shadow in Sonic 3 or the Knuckles TV show? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below. Also, just as much as you want to hate on Ken Pendles, by all means. And you can do this on our Tumblr page, which is Berkcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.